Welcome to the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. Your adventure into the world of comic book movies starts here.
Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Patrick.
And we have half of a movie to discuss. What the hell have you been doing here while I was away?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Have you been
Cut an
podcasting with
episode.
somebody else?
Yes, I have. Much better host. Talks about,
Was he devilishly handsome?
He was, yeah. He was courteous. He welcomed me onto the podcast. It was pleasant.
Damn.
Talked about the first part of this movie, and then, he had to go.
Yeah.
I've
never seen that person and myself in the same room at the same time.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have glasses, so, but yeah. No. Yeah, we're coming with part 2 of the Mask of Zorro. Guess
1998.
Good old late 90s. Freaking action flicks from the early 20th century.
Yeah. Just a good action adventure movie.
We got basically the first part. We just made it to the evil plot, and we're gonna learn more about it here.
Yeah, part 2. We have the setup of why our heroes want revenge. Kind of what's driving them. We got the training montage out of the way. We got sort of the first night out as a proto Zorro for Alejandro, and then his first, infiltration kind of mission where he goes as the gentleman. I don't remember what he calls himself. I think he says Don Alejandro, but I don't remember what the rest of his name is. But regardless, so we're picking this up, and listeners, hopefully you understand. The first part of this episode is going to be over on my Minute of Thieves feed as part of the Road to Sherwood that I'm doing, looking at movies, not all Robin Hood movies, but movies I think fit into a Robin Hood type character, type adventure, and I think the Mask of Zorro fits into that the same type of hero. So that's why it's the second stop on the Road to Sherwood, leading up to when I cover Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 1 minute at a time. So we pick this this half of the movie up at all of the Dons.
Gaggle of Dons.
Yeah. They're all being taken in coaches with blinds or something covering all the windows. There's several wagons bringing all these Dons and Alejandro out to this gold mine, and they learn how just how much gold is available here. Because I remember in that previous scene, one of the Dons was like, we don't have enough money to buy California from Santa Ana. You're crazy if you think we're all that rich. And so here's kind of Don Montero showing all of his governors, you have enough money to buy, because Santa Ana needs money. He's starting to I don't know what his current situation is.
Waging a war with the U.S.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes.
He's running out of funds.
That's right.
So he needs this, and he's taking advantage of it. I still don't quite understand why he needed to even tell the other Dons. He seems to have gotten all the gold. He just has to transport it. He's got a deal being worked with Captain Love. So I'm like, what? Why even tell them?
Yeah, I don't know what role the other governors play. That's a great point. I don't know why he needs to show this off to them.
I can't see that they've done anything. The only possible thing I can think of is they help with the transport. But even then, I don't see why you would need them, honestly. He could have just told them after the fact.
I guess you want all of these Dons, all these governors to be on board, because essentially after this deal goes through, they're going to be governors of a new country, not this part of Mexico. So I guess that's why you want them on board, and you want to show them how a ridiculous amount of gold that is available, so that their greed, keeps them in line. I guess is what that
Yeah,
is.
I
So
don't
I
know.
guess you show them how much money is to be made here to get their, to buy their silence, basically.
That's just a lot of loose lips you're introducing
Yeah,
at a
yeah,
crucial stage. So,
yeah. I'm almost
including a spy. So,
right. Yeah, yeah. I'm almost surprised that they don't. At some point, he doesn't try to kill all these governors. It'd be very
yeah,
Goldfinger. It's
yeah,
kind of that scene where Goldfinger is showing all the mob bosses, like, here's our plan to rob Fort Knox, and I need all your 1 million buy-in from all you people, and then he kills them all. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Because I could understand if they brought something to the table, like
yeah,
workers or
yeah.
machinery or
That
something, but
yeah, that would help.
it's already done. Like he's
Right.
got like a pile of gold there already.
Yeah, that's where the timing of everything in this movie isn't super like firm, We've had a
Yeah.
training montage that could have taken a week, or it could have taken 6 months, while all this mining was happening. I talked over on the other feed about like how there was no sophistication training. He just shows up at that dinner party. It's like it's real inconsistent with how long this all takes, so
Yeah. I think I just would have liked it if they actually played a role rather than
yeah.
just showing off, look how much gold I have.
No, that's a great,
This
great
is just
point.
an ego thing, maybe you could say. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
um
yeah.
we're introduced to an old friend
Oh,
here in the
yeah.
mines. Three Finger Jack is still alive, and he's just as surly and gross as he was before, maybe a little more so. Uh
Peckerwood.
yeah. I dig this scene, and I always, the last time or when I watched it the first time as a kid, I think I always thought that there was going to be something like from where he was at in the mines. I thought it was going to be about him identifying Alejandro, like recognizing
Hmm.
him, and like
Yeah.
almost calling him out,
Yeah.
um so it's not that, it's just he decides to just kind of be his irascible self, and calls out all these, fancy looking governors and everything, and just decides he's had enough, and comes minecart, adventuring right towards him, and gets killed,
My other
but
pet peeve in action movies where physics go out the window.
okay.
'Cause he's like flying at him and then the bullet hits him and he flies backwards.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
it does give us that great line from Captain
yeah,
Love, like he's smiling and he's like, "That's the second time I've shot that man while flying through the air." Like, I dig that. I like that moment.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
do too. It's
yeah.
just let him
No,
keep flying. Like, why do
agreed.
you have
Yeah,
to
the
like
the
pull him
physics.
back?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this isn't the
Um,
only movie that does that by any means, but
no, yeah, yeah. But there's a nice beat here with Alejandro gets close to Jack kind of in his last moments, and they
yeah,
get to share that moment. And I do think there's a recognition in Jack's eyes of like, hey, it's you, but obviously like Alejandro can't explain everything to Jack right then and there, like, hey, I'm not one of these assholes, I'm like, I'm doing a revenge mission,
yeah.
you
I
know.
think I found it odd that he even went to him. Like, that seems like
It's a
a
bit,
risky move
yeah, you're kind of giving yourself away right there. Yeah.
because a noble's not gonna go and
Yeah.
be all gentle and checking in on this guy.
Yeah, and that like instantly raises a flag with
Yeah.
Captain Love, and leads us, I think, more or less to the next, sequence where Love says to Alejandro like, "Hey, when we get back to the city, like we need to talk." I guess right in
Yeah.
between those moments though, there's a moment that I wasn't expecting. I kind of forgot about this, that Bernard is just in the stables. I think he's
Hmm.
brushing the horse, and Elena, happens to come in, and they have a nice little scene together. It starts to plant those seeds of like, talking about her mother, and she has her eyes, and just a little bit of like planting that seed of getting her to remember her father, which again, I think she was too young, back then
Hmm.
to remember her father, but either way. And then can we talk about heads and jars and
Yeah, he gets a little Dahmer on us. That's the vibe I was getting.
yeah, the I think for a
Like,
brief moment when he cut off the head, or, way earlier in the early part of the movie, I've remembered, or I think I like cross pollinated some memories of um Wild Wild West.
oh
Do you
yeah,
remember there's like a sequence there where someone loses a head? Someone's head
yeah,
gets chopped off, and they use the head that's like some sort of, goofy steampunk science to
yeah,
like, oh, if we I think they jam a light bulb into the guy's, right behind his eyes, and essentially like project what his last,
yeah.
what his eyes
That's
last saw.
yeah.
And I knew that wasn't this movie, but I was thinking, what is the deal with the heads? Where is this going? And then we get to this scene, and I forgot he just straight up presents Alejandro with a jar of his brother's head, and I can't like. I think like the way the scene plays out, Captain Love isn't convinced that Alejandro is Zorro, or that he's not,
Hmm.
or I guess he's not
The
even. Wait, am I getting ahead of myself? Well,
I he's
right.
it almost seems like he knows that he's the other brother,
Yes,
but he's
yes.
not quite sure.
I was getting confused for a second, but when Alejandro stole the horse, he does carve the Z in the wall. So
Hmm.
there's a hint that Zorro has returned. And
Yeah,
so I think this is meant to be like Captain Love is figuring out that yes, he is the other Murrieta brother. And is he figuring out that this is Zorro, or is he just focused on the one thing?
I think he's focused on the one thing. I don't know
Okay.
if he's
Okay.
connecting him to Zorro necessarily,
That's fair. But I think just
because I think he
as you're,
reveals that later, like when
yeah.
he's in the Zorro
Okay.
costume.
Okay. But yeah, the
Uh,
whole thing about, presenting him with Joaquin's head, it's like
yeah,
he's testing him. He wants to see, is he going to get a reaction? And that's going to tell him, yes, he is this the other brother. And, Alejandro doesn't give anything up, but it still plays as if Love just knows. It's like
yeah.
there's Captain Love is too convinced that this is his man. So it's like there's nothing to reveal.
I mean, he does look a lot alike, He, although he only knows him by the picture, right? Like
Yeah, he
he
didn't get
barely
a good
saw
look
him.
at him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was like, well, why is he drinking from the head jar? I
Yeah.
don't
I don't know,
like.
cuz
Would a noble really do that? Like
Love
drink
wasn't
from?
drinking from it, right?
No,
Okay.
he says something about a different vintage or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, right. Yo, that
So
'cause he had a bottle of something, and then he
yeah,
brings out the jar. Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god, why?
It's a bold move of Alejandro to take a
Because it's
sip from this head jar.
because it's got to have like some kind of preservative in it because the
Yeah. I
head's
mean,
still perfectly fine.
I guess going
What?
back to what I read earlier about, this is based on a real
Yeah,
thing that Harry Love would do. I guess it was just a jar of alcohol, but there's still a head, getting pickled in it. So
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
it's odd. Um
mm-hmm. Yeah, that grossed me out. I was like, nope. It's no the I think that leads into the I guess the nanny spotting her
yeah,
somehow
yeah.
out of a crowd of I don't know whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
20 years later, you look nothing
But
like
I think
your
it's
mom.
because she looks so much like her mom. That's what,
Mm.
yeah, uh, tips off the nanny. It's a nice scene. It further. I kind of like that Elena gets her own story here. She's not just you know she gets something to do, and she gets
Hmm.
a story of her own, sort of.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little unfair to her, like that this is all happening to her, that she didn't ask to, find out that her family isn't her, her dad isn't her dad, and that the whole backstory. So it's like it's a lot for her to have to come to terms with, and we don't really have to see her struggle with that. It's like there's just not enough time to devote to her
Oh yeah.
struggling with it, so not a bad thing. Just what's the so Alejandro returns to the Zorro cave
Yep.
and is really struggling with like this thing he's being kind of tasked to do, while like how can he focus on that when Captain Love is like is in front of him, and he just wants to kill him. He just wants to take his hate out. And I love this moment between him and Diego, because Diego shows him, well, you have to hide your hate. And great line of like,
With this.
yeah, but I love the way Antonio Banderas plays it. Like he sells the hell out of like, how do I hide such hate? And it's a great moment because all Diego has to say is, yeah, with this, and shows him the mask, and here's where we finally get Zorro suits up, and get a little true Zorro.
I more liked I like the facial hair stick on stuff.
That
was
surprised
like,
me. I forgot that the facial hair was I guess it'd be like theatrical, like stage makeup kind of thing, which I guess would have existed back then, but
I just didn't. I was like, what?
Yeah, that doesn't work for me much, because he had facial hair prior to this.
Earlier. Yeah.
And so why not just shave it into a fancy, gentleman type do, and then shave it off to become Zorro. I don't know.
This is where
It's not like he has to like flip flop between playing the gentleman and
Zorro.
Zorro. It's like, basically, does he go back to being the gentleman at this point?
He stole the horse as fake Zorro.
Yes.
Becomes a gentleman. He doesn't become Zorro, at least that we see, until this moment.
Yeah. But then after this, he doesn't go back to being
Zorro from here on out.
He's just Zorro. Yeah. So I guess,
because I think he was thinking what I'll say is the legendary Zorro was going to do this.
Right.
Like, he thought Diego was going to take care of this and be the Zorro of old or whatever, not just old Zorro. But he's like, no, I got to take care of Raphael there.
Yeah, I think that comes a little bit later, because this portion is just it's he gives him the mask, and then it's like we cut to here's where we cut to the governor's mansion or whatever, and alarms get tripped, and they go out into the balcony, and there's the big flaming Z off on the hills, and Diego set this fire just to let everyone know, hey, Zorro is back. And that's where you get like Zorro infiltrating the governor's mansion. Instantly you get thrown into sword fights. It's him and Love. Let me back up. There is a great little spy craft, where Zorro sneaks in and steals this map, because it's the only way they can find their way back to the mines. I guess we didn't say, the mines are full of like slave labor, kids and so that's motivation to go back to the mines and rescue everybody.
And to stop the plan to buy California. But that's right, because that's where he hears that they're going to just blow up the mine with all the witnesses.
Right.
And that's why Diego gets pissed at, or why, what should we call it? Alejandro gets pissed at Diego for not becoming Zorro to take care of that for the people or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
I like that at a certain point, you can tell that this is Diego's plan. Like he's not planning to become Zorro again. He's been training Alejandro for this, but Alejandro hasn't realized he was becoming Zorro. He just thought, oh, I'm going to help, Zorro get revenge, and I'm gonna get revenge. And
Yeah.
it didn't occur to him that he was going to become Zorro until he's presented with the mask. I really like that aspect
Yeah.
of it. Because it's like Alejandro needed to motivation other than just revenge. And when he found those people in the mine, it was like, oh, I need to rescue these people. That's what became that driving, like that's when Diego realized, okay, that now he gets it. It's about protecting the people. So
Yeah.
really, really great moment. But yeah, back to like the governor's mansion, and yeah, we're in like sword fight after sword fight and just action like all over the place. It's such a great sequence.
Yeah. I thought
Um,
Love was going to be more of an equal match than he ended up being,
I think
honestly.
he's pretty close. I think Love
He seems
is
like he's getting toyed with. Like,
Love
I never felt
is
like Zorro was in danger.
okay. Yeah. So I think when it comes to them fighting each other, Love just puts all of his emotion into his fighting, and
Yeah.
Zorro has learned, what Diego told him was like, you hide your hate, because he's
Yeah.
this is the guy he's supposed to hate, but Zorro is toying with him. He's quipping, he's you know the whole thing with like kicking the soldiers out of the window, like having fun with
Yeah.
that. So it's like he's having fun as Zorro, and now it's like it's kind of like before when Diego was Zorro, and like he smiles, and he's having fun with
Yeah.
it because it's part of the character is to be it's kind of I think part of that like swashbuckling kind of, you're
Sure.
putting on a persona, and Alejandro like gets it, and that's what he's doing as Zorro, despite the fact that he's fighting the man he hates more than anyone, but he doesn't show it. I think that's why he's a better fighter, because Love is just all emotion, because he just
Yeah, I think I was confused by that because
okay.
I remember earlier they said that Love was a trained killer.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He's
it's
yeah, he's
weird that he's flustered, and
mhm.
I don't know.
He's
I was
ruthless and
expecting
he's
more.
sadistic,
Yeah.
and like with Jack, like he shoots him out of the air, or
Hmm.
with Joaquin, it's like he's about to shoot him, I think, but he shoots himself first, and then he's frustrated that he didn't get the kill, so he just hacks his head off. It's like, so he doesn't like to be bested, and that's he's faced with a guy who's kind of already toyed with them, once before, and
Yeah.
made a fool of
Because
him, more or less.
I think at one point he's got a sword in each hand fighting both of
Yeah.
them. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I like
cool, but it's also pathetic at the same time
eh.
for those two.
Oh, for the others. Yeah. I mean, one
Yeah.
is, yeah. The other is like a more age, he's the age of the original Zorro. It's like
Yeah.
he's gonna miss a step, but he's still like he's got
I
some
felt like he
decent,
was tougher than Love, honestly.
yeah.
Like,
He might have more little bit more weight behind him, so maybe he's just a little more like he's able to, maybe come at Zorro with a little bit more momentum. I don't know. But
chalked it up to experience.
no, okay. Um
But yeah, I don't know.
no, I mean this sequence though,
It was fun though.
it's great. I
Yeah.
think it goes on the right amount of time. Like it never feels like
Mhm.
it's going on too long until we get to like the stables. Zorro's kind of ready to make his exit, and he gets to the stables where I was
Elena
it,
followed him,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah. His horse isn't in here, so I don't know why he's really
Yeah.
passing through the stable.
Well, he
But
was hiding
regardless,
and
we
ran
need
in
a,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we need a location for kind of this next sequence. And man, I remember them teasing this moment in the trailers for this, before it comes out. Like
Hmm.
they in the trailer they include the bit about him disrobing her with the sword and
Hmm.
everything. Like that was part of the marketing. Yeah, so obviously like that stuck out to me as a kid, as a 15-year-old, so of course I love this sequence as a, back then. And I mean it's hard not to enjoy it now, but it's still it's a little creepier now. It's you know, I love that they get an action sequence, and she's a well-trained,
Yeah.
fighter as well. Like that's great, but once it becomes like, well, let's just, make turn you into eye candy, it's like
Well, from the whole getup, it's like flirtatious. like from the beginning of their duel. I mean,
yeah.
it's almost like weird foreplay that they're doing instead
Oh
of
yeah,
fighting.
I called this the sex fight. I mean, this is
Yeah. Instead of
um,
a scene of intimacy, it was an intimate sword fight.
yeah. Um,
So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's just,
yeah. I just it's interesting to see it now. Having
yeah,
not seen it for so long, and yeah. I don't know if you'd make this scene today. Just one of those things.
yeah,
But I mean, I enjoy the two of them together. Like he takes little moments to steal a kiss, and that just, understandably makes her more upset. But it's like he's throwing her off, so she makes missteps. That's part of I think his strategy, and not just stealing kisses. So, but
I do like her angry face when he
yeah,
slashes her, I guess, strap or something.
yeah, yeah,
Like she like found it amusing with the slip, uh,
right,
by the leg,
right, yeah.
but then when he does that, she like her face just looks so pissed. It was awesome.
We haven't really talked about Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Mm-mm. She
But
doesn't get a whole lot of screen time other than
not
the
a
dancing.
ton. Yeah. Gets some scenes. She is great in this too. I mean, this is kind of
Hmm.
where she started to get big. I think Entrapment was probably 2 years after this. I feel like she had several movies right in a row. And she had done stuff before this too. I mean, she had been in we saw her in The Phantom.
Hmm.
She had done a Titanic miniseries before this, and then I want to say she's in High Fidelity, kind of in one scene. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so she's like in stuff around this time. I think right after this, she does the Haunting of
Hill House, I
Hill
think.
House. I think she's in
Yeah,
that one. I think between this and Entrapment, I think, and then yeah, but
yeah. I mean, the both of them are really good together.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Um, mhm.
I could have done a little less with the mouth swallowing that was going on for the kiss scene.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they
it's
were
a
in
very
deep.
it's very vigorous father.
Yeah.
And then we get more horsing around
Mm.
once he's out of the stables and goes trying to get his horse and like yeah, it's just kind of more horse gags,
Yeah.
he can't get on the horse, he finally gets on the horse, the the soldiers are chasing him down through the countryside and that scene becomes a, a fun action sequence, but it's also full of like
Yeah.
some
It's
goofs. It reminded me
winks
a
and
lot of
yeah.
I think there's a similar horse chase in the Three Musketeers, the one
Hmm.
from the
Yeah, I think you're
90s.
right. But I
So
enjoyed the stunt work, like the horse
oh
stunt
yeah,
riding. It was pretty impressive.
it's all done by a very competent, horse stunt person. Um,
Yeah, you
you
don't get
know,
that too much nowadays.
right, yeah. So, um, and then so Alejandro makes it back to the cave, and then he and Diego have a moment, I think, because I think this is where Alejandro is basically says like, okay, we're gonna go in together as two Zorros, taking everything down,
Yeah.
and Diego, this is where he tells him like, I'm not going with you, or that's what they've got the map to the mine, so Alejandro is thinking we'll both go to the mine. But Diego's plan is to go, he's gonna go to Montero in at the mansion, at the governor's mansion, and take his revenge, or I guess he may even just say, I'm just gonna go get Elena. Um
'Cause I think he made some kind of comment about because he brings up saving the people. And he's like, I've done that and lost
yeah,
everything, and
yeah.
um, now it's time for me to get my
Get
family
my
or whatever.
daughter, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It feels like like the obvious answer is like, why can't we both just have a mutually beneficial, like, carry out this revenge, and we can both get what we want, like why, I side with Alejandro, of course, of like, why don't you do this too, so, but we're obviously meant to, you know
Yeah.
this is Diego goes to the mansion, interrupts,
Mhm.
interrupts
Yeah, they're
Montero.
freaking out. Yeah,
Yeah, has a nice little conflict with Montero, and then has the bit with he forces Montero to explain, everything
yeah.
that happened with her mother, and basically reveal the truth, and Montero doesn't really go along with it. He kind of he is forced to. He kind of reveals everything, but regardless, like Elena understands what she's being told, and
Yeah, it's like a
there's
callback to the
the
nanny in the
flowers
street
and the
and the
nanny, and it's
flower.
all,
Yeah.
yeah, all of the Elena story, threads are like coming together, and so she's finally
Mhm.
seeing the full picture and everything, which leads to her rescuing Diego from this little room that they have him imprisoned in. So
Yeah, I
um
like how he's getting in prison. He said, "She knows."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's just like,
uh,
"Oh crap."
Right. So meanwhile, you've got Alejandro goes to the mines, and it gets there in time for, like, they're buttoning this place up, and stringing along kind of
Yeah,
primer cord, basically.
a little
Gonna
preemptively, if you ask me. But
a little bit, yeah, yeah.
yeah, the gold's still coming up the elevator, and they're
Right.
lighting the fuse. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. But yeah, because it's daytime now. Because he went at night to the mansion, so this picks up like the next day, I guess.
Um, hard. Yeah, I don't know.
Because Diego goes at night to the mansion, and
Right.
then smash cut to
Oh,
sometime in the
okay.
day
Hmm.
at the mine. So it must be the
Inter-
next day.
okay.
I think. This movie's
Yeah.
timing is
Because
weird,
it's
but
also like it's nighttime. The first with Zorro's big scene,
mhm,
earlier at the mansion, it was
mhm,
nighttime. But then by the time he's doing the horse, riding at
it's
the end,
daytime.
it's
Yeah,
daytime. So, who knows when? I didn't remember that it was nighttime when Diego went to get Elena, but
yeah. Because I found it was weird that we were at the mansion, and then all of a sudden we're at the mine,
okay,
like with
okay,
the captain and
yeah, hmm,
Raphael. I was like,
yeah.
whoa, okay, next day, I guess.
Um, yeah, I mean, this is just another, we get another really, really great action sequence here. This is the climax of the movie. I mean, it just
Hmm.
goes, it's pretty much all out action and daring do. Um,
Yeah, you get a cool callback to the robed Zorro, like with the hood,
yes, yeah.
with bringing the water. Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so it was a neat
Yeah,
little
I forgot
callback.
how Zorro showed up at this the mine, but yeah, no, that was
Yeah,
a fun moment. Um,
I kind of hoped it was a kid though that he was doing that to instead of like some
yeah.
random old dude.
No, that would have been
um,
nice. Yeah,
yeah,
little callback, and yeah, setting it up for the future. This could have
yeah,
been your future, Zorro. Or
that's true.
we also see the like the priest. I don't know if he's a priest or a monk, someone that knew
Hmm.
Alejandro and Joaquin as kids.
Hmm.
Um, like, and he's there at the mine, like, and Alejandro sees him earlier, I think, when he was the gentleman. Um,
Hmm.
but maybe that should have been who this was too, and
Yeah,
and it gets like the double reveal of, like, Alejandro and Zorro, or maybe not do that, but just, I don't know. Since they already have a connection, it could have been fun to have the priest there.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, just great action gets kicked off here. You get, of course, Alejandro and Love kind of get their big sword battle, and then at the same time, you've got
Hmm.
Diego and Montero, and for a little while, Elena is kind of not doing anything, and then at a certain point, Diego tells her to, like, save the people, so she gets a nice little bit to do there.
Well,
Um,
before that, didn't she stop him from hurting her stepdad? I guess, or
yeah,
adoptive dad, and then that gets Zorro
that's right.
shot.
He grabs her, and says he's gonna, puts a gun to her,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, that does lead to him, I think, getting shot.
And then he goes, go save the people, and she
Right,
runs
right, right,
off
right.
and
Yeah.
starts shooting locks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was good that she got like something to do other than stand there and go, "Oh no."
Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, again, she's not being a damsel or anything, so it's
Eh,
yeah, it's good. I there's a line here by Love when Love and Zorro are fighting, and at this point, he's revealed that he's Alejandro, and they continue fighting for a while, and Captain Love gets the best one of the best burns uh, in any of the movies we've covered so far, it's in recent memory for sure. But he said, um, "Your brother would have shot himself by now."
yeah,
That's a solid burn. I mean, that is
yeah,
just that is great.
yeah. He's got the two best lines: the "shot
Hmm.
that man twice while
Yeah,
flying through the air," and
yeah.
"your brother would have already killed himself." Yeah,
uh, and
yeah. He would have been
again, like, what's that?
he would have been a really good like rap battle guy nowadays.
Oh, okay.
This
Yeah,
with his sick burns.
yeah.
But I I honestly laughed when he did the zip line shovel
Mm. Oh, that's
slaloming.
great.
I was like,
We're at peak X Games.
yeah, I was like, how did he get the shovel to stay on his feet? It looked like there
Yeah.
was some kind of cord wrapped around it.
There was for
I'm
sure
like,
something. Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
I was like, what are we doing? Why do you need to do that? You could just
yeah,
zip line down,
yeah.
just pick your feet up, dude.
But it looks cooler if we kind of make
It I
snowboarding
guess.
like sequence. Yeah, I like it. It's fun
Yeah,
enough, but
it was so goofy.
yeah,
I mean, it didn't bother me. I was just like,
right,
okay,
right.
late '90s, got it.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like Love here is again just a screaming madman. Like he's coming at Zorro just full on anger and rage, and that's his
Yeah.
downfall. Because he's not able to keep his composure or whatever. But it's a good death. Like they get onto this the gold elevator,
Yeah.
and just they're tight quarters, and I think Zorro even loses a sword, so he
Hmm.
has to somehow he does a move and gets Love, gets his sword and just runs him through. um
Yeah. But he's not dead yet.
no, of course not. I love the double death here.
Yeah. That was pretty sweet.
Because meanwhile, up above, you've got Montero and Diego are having their, final moments, and
Mhm.
it's like, Montero
Yeah.
just happens to be standing in the, uh, what do you call it? Like the reins of this
Hmm.
cart that they're using for the gold, and uses that to drag him off of this cliff, and so it not only does it kill lead to Montero falling to his death, but the cart with full of gold falls right onto to Love, and so
Yeah.
they both go. It's
Classic.
it's a great little villain death, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot he carves the M into his face before
Oh,
he
that's
runs him
right.
through
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the for the
For
Loretta or whatever.
Glorieta. Yeah,
Marietta. So I like that too. But
yeah, yeah. I also like
yeah, I
that
think
they figure out a way to keep like to give us explosions still. I mean, at this point, like most of this mine, like
oh
scaffolding has been on fire. So of course that it ramps the tension with you know, the mine exploding, is going again. And
yeah.
it's
That
a
explosion should have killed everybody. Like
it should have liquefied everyone's insides because
time shenanigans happen
yes.
again because
Yeah.
they escape and then boom, and then they're just walking away like,
Yeah.
yay.
And these types of explosions I always love because you can tell that they did it for real. They did
Oh
a
yeah,
big explosion because you can't really fake unless you're just doing CGI, but you can't fake a miniature explosion and get that like sonic boom
uh,
that
yeah,
real big explosions do. And this one has one of those, like you can tell
yeah,
that things get uh that there's like a sonic boom, and yeah, that would have
yeah,
liquefied everyone in the
yeah.
radius, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
but
a wave that you can kind
mhm,
of see just
yeah, Yeah.
of energy. Because in real life, I mean, you could feel that like a mile away
Oh
easily,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like
That was a
knock you.
ground pounder.
Yeah, yeah. So could have done without that cheap
Yeah,
trick, but
realism wise, yeah, that doesn't really work,
yeah,
but everyone's saved, and
all's well. Yep.
all's well. We get a final moment with Diego, and he gets to see Elena and Alejandro, like, you know, connected. And yeah, I honestly, I couldn't remember leading up to this that Diego dies.
Yeah.
So it's like leading up to it, or like once it kind of started building to that, I was like, oh yeah, he does. I think he might die at the end of this, but I couldn't remember for sure. So I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know if I like that he doesn't get to live to see, his daughter um enjoy some, have any time with her.
Well,
So
medical care wasn't up to snuff back then,
right.
so
Well,
makes
it's also
sense.
like they never focus on him getting shot enough to show like how bad of a wound it is. Like to me, watching it, it felt like a shoulder shot.
Oh yeah, I thought he got shot like in the like torso
Okay.
somewhere, like on the side.
And he probably did because typically,
Because
movie
he was having a
language that's
tough time. Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
he was having a
You
tough time in that fight, so I
yeah.
took it that he was like desperate, and that's
Mm,
how he got the old horse trick to bring
yeah.
him down
Yeah.
because he had nothing else left. But yeah, I forgot he died too.
Okay. Um
And then we found out it was all a bedtime story.
yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. There is another deleted scene between them leaving the mine and with all these people. Like it's just Elena and Alejandro like walking with in the deleted scene. It's like maybe 30 people. In the movie, it seems like there's like hundreds of people. At least that's the way it
Yeah,
feels like. That's how many people that they have to release. But
yeah.
regardless, like there's a scene between this and then like him with his daughter or his son. But yeah, it's them walking through the desert because they have to walk back to town. And
Hmm.
like up rides Santa Ana, and another great character actor, Joaquin de Almeida. Like he's been in 24 and Weeds and a bunch of stuff. But he rides up. Like, he's Santa Ana, and he's got part of his army with him, and he's asking like, who are you people? What happened here? And Alejandro explains like, basically, Montero was trying to steal from you. Your mine back there is destroyed. If you might be able to dig through the rubble and find some gold. And you know, he asks like, well, how did you all escape? And he's like, oh, Alejandro says, oh, Zorro was there, and he defeated the bad guys basically. And I mean, meanwhile, like Alejandro is all dressed in black, like and Santa Ana's like, oh, I'm glad Zorro was there, and he's definitely like he's in on it. He
Yeah.
understands. Okay, you're Zorro, and thank you. Or he's like, I'm glad to know Zorro is still around. So it's a nice like kind of winks at him, and it just sets it up perfectly for like if there are more adventures, like
Yeah.
these guys are gonna be, Commissioner Gordon and Batman. It's like, okay, we're a team. So
Okay, that's hilarious because the way this movie ends made me think that Zoro went back and got the gold, and that's why they
mm.
live in such a nice place.
Well, I guess she's still the governor's daughter, so maybe she's entitled to some of her father's,
Okay, yeah, I
you
wasn't
know.
sure because he was disgraced and
I don't know. Yeah.
I just it made it seem like he went back and got the gold
Yeah.
and built that
I like that too.
gigantic
Yeah, that
place.
works too. Yeah.
So
Um,
that's funny that it had
yeah.
a different. Yeah, that makes more sense then.
What else? Yeah, so then the scene with Alejandro, kind of mirrors the scene earlier, of course, with him telling bedtime stories to his son. So fun
Yeah.
little way to end the movie. And of course, it fades to black, and then we get another little Zorro. No,
Yeah.
same thing from the beginning, but it
Yeah.
works, and it's kind of in that vein of Batman Forever and
Mm-hmm.
Batman and Robin, of them like running towards the camera with the light behind them. I mean, it's kind of a
Yeah.
similar thing, but it's, I like it. It's a
And
good
that music
punctuate.
was awful and very 90s.
Oh
And I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But,
I feel like they were trying to make some kind of like hit happen with the song, at the end of
yeah.
this movie, but
I blame Seal for that.
yeah. But I mean,
Kiss from a
I'm
Rose.
covering, I'm doing Prince of Thieves, and I think that one
Mm,
kind of kicked off this era
yeah.
of, certainly doesn't. It's not the first one to have like a
No.
post credit song attached to it, but it's in that vein, because then they
Yeah.
tried to recapture that magic with Three Musketeers by bringing in Sting, Rod Stewart, and Brian
Mm,
Adams again. And
yeah.
then I feel like movies after that, like they try to do these types of like,
Yeah. It
love
was a big
songs,
90s
and
thing.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you had The Bodyguard, you had,
yeah.
a bunch. Yeah. But anyway,
Um, yeah, that's Mask of Zorro. And we should guess, if you're unfamiliar with real comic heroes, if you haven't listened before, but you're here because of the other podcast, at the end of the movie, we Patrick and I will go through and pick out our, top heroic moment and most villainous moment, maybe some runners up, but and then we'll rate the movie out of 5 stars, and that's about it. So,
yeah.
what would you say is the most villainous moment?
This planet, these people, they are nothing to me.
You were made to be ruled.
The universe's power! Pure, unstoppable power! Come to me, son of Jor-El! Kneel before Zod! And I am that force! I am that power!
In the end, you will always kneel.
Kneel before your master!
Well, I mean, obviously, the head in the jar is the runaway winner.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'd go with Don Raphael using his daughter
Oh,
at the
okay.
end there. That was
Sure.
a pretty sleazy villain move on
Yeah.
his part.
Yeah. He says like, I would never really, harm you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah.
My most villainous was way at the early on with just taking the baby. The whole like initially thinking, thinking that Diego thinks that his baby was burned in this mansion, and then to see your rival, your arch nemesis, take your daughter, like, and that's that's pretty evil. So
I guess both are bookended by his use of his daughter.
yeah.
So from beginning to end, he's a
Right.
real POS with Elena.
Right. Yeah. So how about most heroic?
I believe there's a hero in all of us
I just finally know what I have to do.
that keeps us honest,
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
gives us strength,
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
makes us noble.
And I know in my heart that it's right.
I like the Diego Zorro shot of him on the horse in the sun
Okay.
and the church as he
Yeah.
leaves after his
Yeah.
battle there at the beginning. It was just such a cool shot.
Sure. And yeah, it comes
Saved
after
everyone,
saving
yeah.
3, innocent
Mhm.
lives, and yeah.
Yeah, doesn't end well for him, but
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good moment. I pick Elena for, amongst all the revenge fighting that's going on between her fathers and Zorro and Love, like, she saves all the people, So
Yeah.
like the other guys are fighting over, revenge and gold, and I mean they're not fighting for gold, but the bad guys are, but she's, actually taking care of the innocent lives here. So yeah, I like the
Yeah.
the
I kind of liked that she was kind of hurried and panicked because she like steps over the black powder that's burning. Like,
yeah. I
so
definitely
yeah,
watched this a few times as a kid thinking, why didn't you just stop the, but maybe
yeah,
that
but she's
stuff is
like,
hard to
yeah,
stop,
in the moment, you're not. I mean, everything's smoking and on fire,
Yeah.
so it's like, how do you know that's the black powder that's going to lead to the
Yeah.
thing? So I was like, yeah, whatever. It's kind of realistic. You wouldn't notice
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but I hated that they showed it so obviously like that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, look, she's gonna. Oh no, she's just gonna step over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one.
I think the other my runner up would, and I didn't really think about it until we talked about it, but just that how I talked about like Diego needed to almost needed to push, Alejandro into like realizing what being a hero is, with it's like, and he didn't get that until he knew that was this mine full of, people
Oh,
that needed to be saved. So like that's a good runner up for me too.
they're gonna say when the kids push the statue on the,
Right.
the soldiers.
I mean, that's a good, good third place.
Okay. So we want to rate this bad boy.
Yeah. I think like going into it, I thought there's no way I'm not giving this a 5 out of 5 for me,
Yeah.
because it's a
Mhm.
perfect action adventure. I remember just having nothing but love for this. And then like watching it, I was like, but there's just enough that I would cut out. A lot of the horse gags, a
Mhm.
lot of that kind of stuff. Like I think
Yeah.
I would cut some of that down, maybe make this just a slightly tighter movie. I think you could go from
Yeah.
I forget if it's a 220 or 240. I think it's 220. You could
Yeah.
take it
Somewhere
down
around there.
to, you know, yeah, it's like 216. So you could trim some stuff out and but I don't know now, like after we talked about it, I was like, is that enough to knock it down for me? I don't know that it is. And I'm told Patrick, before we started that I just went ahead and bought this, through, Apple, and like I can see myself watching this, like putting this one back in the rotation. Because
Yeah.
I really enjoy it so much. And yeah,
Mhm.
I was initially thinking like as I was going through it, like, yeah, I might give it like a 4.5, but no, I'm gonna stick with a 5. My initial, love for this movie is still there. So
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I'm close. I'm 4.75.
okay.
Um, I like it. I'd watch it again. It's just I wish like the villain plot was a little cleaner.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
um and like I guess the what should we call it? I could have done without that whole like gentleman like
Yeah,
scenario at the party being a lot less.
sure.
Um, but I think I was just this happens to me when I start watching things too
Mhm.
much is that I notice like
Yeah.
why the heck are the Dons involved with this? Like
Right.
they literally
Yeah.
that's the last time I think I even see them. Like is
Yeah,
when they're
I think they should have been in the mine. Like I think he should have been like
yeah.
trying to tie up loose ends. Yeah. But
Yeah, so it's little things like that that
yeah,
just knock
yeah.
it down from a 5 for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd totally watch this again.
Yeah. That means, yeah, combined, we'd give it a 4.875. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's totally fitting for this movie. And I just don't think this movie gets enough love, gets enough attention,
No, it's not on
Um,
TV often. Like
yeah.
I never saw it on like HBO or
Mm,
like back in the day or on like TNT or TBS or like one of
right.
those.
Yeah.
I
Now,
don't know if it's because it's TriStar and they got I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Now the interesting, I don't know if it's interesting. I on Real Comic Heroes, the sequel to this will be on our list, of course. The Legend of
Mhm.
Zorro. I've never
Yep.
seen the Legend of Zorro. As much as I love this movie, I think that one just came out like that was probably like 2004. Like maybe they just waited just long enough to where I was, you know, in college, like
Mhm.
well, I would have been out of college, but but regardless, like I was,
So I'm
I
thinking 04. That's like what? Lord of the Rings era, right?
That started in 2001 and went to like 2003.
2003. Oh, only
Um,
2003. Okay.
I'm
I was just
guessing.
thinking we were
I'm
in a
guessing it.
different, because there's like a window with Three Musketeers and
Yes.
Prince of Thieves and Zorro, like with the swashbuckling. There was like a period of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think we just transitioned out of it, maybe.
That could be. And actually, it was 2005.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, this came out the same year as Batman Begins, Revenge of the Sith. Like I think I was at those movies.
Okay.
I think to distract me. But yeah, I never saw it, and I don't remember hearing great things about it. So but I
think
I
I
don't
saw it. I
recall
just can't
hearing
remember
bad
it.
things either. So
Yeah.
but I'll be
Yeah, it'll be
interested to see
interesting.
it once we get there. Yeah, should be interesting. But
Okay.
let's see. Yeah, let me see what I have next on for both shows, really.
Oh, yeah.
So next on Real Comic Heroes, we have the Avengers, I believe. Does that sound right to you?
Oh, yeah,
The
the Uma Thurman.
yeah,
Yeah.
the other Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one. I remember thinking like that doesn't look very good. Like when it came out, and I think there was enough word of mouth about it that was like, yeah, I don't need to see this. And
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
recall it.
as I said in our Batman and Robin episode, I don't care for Uma Thurman all that much, so I definitely wasn't like she wasn't a
Ooh,
draw for
shots
me.
fired.
Yeah,
I loved her in Kill Bill.
yeah, see, I just wasn't huge on Tarantino at the time,
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I've seen several. I've seen Kill Bill, and it's fine, but I didn't see it back then. So,
Oh, okay.
um,
Gotcha.
so yeah, so The Avengers from 1998 is next for Real Comic Heroes, but over on, if you're following along with the Road to Sherwood, over on Minute of Thieves. Well, we've talked about him a little bit already. Sean Connery. The next, I'm going back to Robin Hood, and we're talking about Robin and Marion from 1976, with
Yep.
Sean Connery as the kind of aged Robin Hood. So I've never seen it. I'm interested. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, listeners are as well.
76, and he was already playing aged
Yeah, I mean,
versions. That's so crazy how old he is.
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that makes sense because he was kind of getting there with Bond. So yeah.
Yeah. Because he wrapped up his
It's crazy.
Bond days. I mean, I guess not too terribly. Like I think 73 was Diamonds Are Forever, I think.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he was starting to get like not old, but but he was already like looked kind of like an old man a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah. Hard living.
Yeah. So yeah, the Avengers from 98, and then Robin and Marion from 76. So that's what I have coming up next. I've also started a Facebook group for Minute of Thieves. It's the Minute of Thieves Listeners Hideout. You can join it on Facebook and become part of the community over there. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else on this one. Patrick, how about you? Anything you've been doing lately?
Just living life and podcasting on occasion with yourself. So I know there's a shindig you're putting together for the Minute crew. So that's coming up here in Indianapolis, and
it is. You gonna be there?
Yep, I will. I will be joining as soon as I can. I just got to make sure the kiddo's not going to ruin it. No, I should be there though. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. Should be a good time. But I think I plugged that in the last episode, and I'll put the link to tickets, will be in the show notes for this. So yeah. So I guess that'll do it for this one. And we'll be back with the Avengers. But until then, stay safe out there, citizens.
And don't drink severed head water. That might help.
Hey folks, Travis here. Quick edit. We're gonna do the animated Gen 13 movie next. before we do the Avengers. The full Gen 13 movie is available on YouTube. I will post a link to it in the show notes if you want to watch it. So there you go.
This is your last chance, Callahan.
Miss Fairchild?
Yes?
Welcome to the finished base, Fräulein Fairchild.
Her name's Caitlin Fairchild, 18 years old. High IQ. She has a great gen factor potential.
She doesn't look like much to me.
I agree that this one was scouted by one of our operatives. I've read her files, and I believe that she is the progeny of one of the rogue Gen 12s, a member of Team 7. I think you'll agree that this one deserves special attention.
I'll keep an eye on her.
Thank you, Miss.
You're not going to hurt anybody.
Kill her.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Find the show on Facebook and Twitter at Real Comic Heroes. All music and audio are the property of their respective creators.